My name is Kaden Stunke, and my presentation is over the Detroit Metro serial killer. The social problems in this case would be police failures, vulnerability of high-risk populations, homelessness, and substance abuse and crime. This killer was identified as D'Angelo Martin. These crimes occurred between February of 2018 and June of 2019. D'Angelo Kenneth Martin was born on May 30th, 1985. His mother was sentenced to life in prison in 1999 for the murder and kidnapping of a 23-year-old man. It is unknown if Martin, 13 at the time, was present during the kidnapping and murder. He grew up in a rough area and was exposed to criminal activity at a young age. After his mother was convicted in 1999, Martin lived with his grandparents but lived on the streets on and off. Martin became addicted to alcohol and drugs and would also panhandle to earn cash. At 15 years old, Martin was still living on the streets. He had several run-ins with the police and 2 convictions by 2009. One conviction was receiving a stolen car, which is how Martin's DNA was entered into the national database. Martin murdered 4 women and raped 2 others. He was charged with 4 counts of second-degree murder, kidnapping, 4 counts of first-degree criminal sexual conduct, assault with the intent to commit sexual penetration, assault with the intent to commit murder, and assault with the intent to commit great bodily harm. He has been sentenced to 45 to 70 years in prison. He would dump the bodies of middle-aged women in vacant homes in the Detroit area. Each of his victims were found in similar poses, leading the police to connect the 4 cases. Martin targeted sex workers who are considered high-risk victims. Martin's murder victims are Annette Nelson, whose body was discovered in February 2018, Nancy Harris, whose body was discovered in March of 2019, Traverse Ellis, whose body was found in March 2019, Tamara Jones, whose body was discovered in June of 2019. Roughly a year after Martin was charged with his crimes, people started to discover the mishandling of the police. The police received repeated warnings that Martin was a violent predator over a period of 15 years before the murders. In 2018, police arrested the wrong man in a strangling case that happened in 2004. The woman's rape kit went untested for 14 years, and Martin was a DNA match to her kit. The police only acted on this DNA match only after he had raped other women and killed 3 others. The police department changed the way DNA is handled to hopefully prevent something like this from happening again. According to McGenius, supervisors and commanders and command staff are now more involved, especially with cases of serial offenders. A quote from him, the former head of the homicide unit, is that we learn from our mistakes and resolve to do better. When the relatives of Martin's victims learned that the police had a chance to stop Martin before he killed their loved ones, they were furious. They also wonder if their family members weren't considered high-risk victims if the police department would have been more aggressive in finding their killer. A quote from Anthony Ellis, the brother of Traverse Ellis, is that my sister would be alive if the police had done their jobs. She always looked out for everyone and didn't deserve to die this way. My question for you guys would be, what are some ways you think the actions of D'Angelo Martin would have been prevented? Thank you.